What is nature? The word itself comes from the Latin word natura, meaning the course of things, natural character and constitution. It is also derived from the Latin word natus, meaning birth. The ancient Romans, who gave us this word, understood many things about nature through observation. They thought that nature was the creator of what was all around them, bringer of life and of death. To the ancients, nature was law. It governed their world through what they saw physically and geologically. It influenced their basic needs like food supply and shelter. Perhaps that is why many early gods were ascribed to nature. At the time, humans could not control nature nor gods. Nature was the art form that only gods could envision through nature's divine law. We, humanity, being descended from apes, could not interfere as we ourselves are part of nature. We are born and yet we die, like a flower grows, withers and dies. Nature destroys, yet it creates anew. We love and fear nature, an eternal paradox that is perfected by evolution, laws that nature itself created. We cannot answer fully why nature exists, but we can observe its impact in the world around us. Nature surrounds us with geology and diverse set of living things, which have self-organized through the power of genetics into plants and animals. From the most basic to the most advanced, all exist because of self-replicating molecules called genes. Diverse in nature, yet joined by observable, self-replicating rules to sets of evolving species. Primitive apes, living millennia ago, evolved into the most advanced animal species, humans. As Goethe once said, nature, each of her works has an essence of its own, each of her phenomena a special characterization, and yet their diversity is in unity. This means that humanity is a part of nature, just as any plant, despite how advanced we may be or may become. While nature may not have a clear plan known to us, it does have rules. Those rules allow for diversity and adaptation, living side by side interdependently in an evolving ecology. Today we know that nature is not exclusive to our world alone. Nature in different forms is pervasive throughout our universe. Why? What does this mean for our unique position as mankind? Are we alone? Would it alter our relationship with what we believe? Throughout our solar system, we see active geology, molecules on other planets and moons, which are the building blocks of nature, of life. Where water flows, are there further opportunities for self-replicating molecules and species? Nature can even exist in places where light cannot reach. Life always finds a way, living through nature's rules as encoded in genes. Richard Dawkins once said, "We are survival machines, robot vehicles blindly programmed to preserve the selfish molecules known as genes." This is true of all species. The complexity of genes allows for diverse adaptation and many beautiful physical manifestations. Nature is the smallest to the largest, a total work of art, or ein Gesamtkunstwerk, as Richard Wagner once described it. What is beauty? Beauty is, by definition, something that pleases the senses, particularly the sense of sight. However, there is far more to the word beauty. The 12th century French word belté came from the Latin bellitatum, meaning a state of being pleasing to the senses. But is what one finds beautiful or pleasing to the senses not subjective? Everyone's perception of what is beautiful is unique, is it not? Perhaps this is because what we see in other things is processed and interpreted differently by all of us. Nature works at the neural level too. In nature's most fundamental form, physics, the second law of thermodynamics suggests that entropy, or disorder, always increases with time. This suggests that nature tends towards disorder. However, the law of conversion of energy states that energy is not destroyed but merely changes from one form to another. Therefore, beauty, like energy, can adapt or change into new forms within the fundamental laws of nature. Genetics further requires diversity and difference for adaptation. This implies the requirement for a difference in attraction. The mind sees, in part, what it chooses to see. This is perhaps why we find the person we love beautiful despite imperfection. Yet what is the purpose of beauty? Why does nature create such beauty? We enjoy observing that which is beautiful, but on a practical level, what use does beauty have? In nature, we observe that birds with the most beautiful feathers, such as the flame bowerbird, whose feathers change from red to yellow, are the ones selected by females to mate with. They are chosen for continuation of the genes and therefore the species. We observe that this is the same for plants. Is this also why plants are so beautiful too? Flower petals are brightly coloured because the colours attract different insects. The insects then come to the flower, pollinate it, fertilizing the plant and causing it to seed. This seed would then go on to become a new plant. Beauty does have an objective purpose, but it is nevertheless subjective when observed by a passing being. Beauty can appeal to other senses too. Beauty cannot be specifically defined as it is unique to what is perceived and valued. Just because something is not viewed as beautiful by you does not make it less important than the things that you love. Not everyone can see nature's beauty, yet can't the sound of birdsong or the gentle whispers of leaves in the breeze be classified as beautiful too? Beauty can be anything that we see or hear or feel that makes us happy, calm, or sometimes even intrigued. Stendhal once defined beauty as the promise of happiness. Whatever you see that makes you happy, that is what beauty is. Aristotle viewed beauty as a representation of truth, and St. Thomas Aquinas once defined beauty as a kind of knowledge. Goethe stated that the ideal of beauty is simplicity and tranquility. It may suggest a sense of the way things should be. Furthermore, as French author and laureate Antoine de Saint-Exupéry stated, perfection is achieved, not when there is nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away. Beauty is nature at its most simple and clear. A tree may be withered and dying and viewed as ugly, but when a bird builds its nest there to raise her young, beauty can still emerge from death. Why is nature beautiful? Despite nature's beauty being subjective, most humans agree that Earth's natural phenomena and landscapes are beautiful. We are almost conditioned to it, as we instinctively find symmetry, simplicity, and harmony where the rules are obeyed. This applies to all senses. It provides context for the ways things simply seem right. Is beauty not about symmetry and harmony? After all, one can clearly distinguish something clearly man-made, such as a pylon, framed by something naturally occurring, such as mountains or a forest. One can sense where something simply doesn't belong, does not follow the rules, and demonstrates disharmony. Does it not give one a feeling of satisfaction where everything slots into place and something fits and belongs seamlessly? Things seem beautiful when they are in harmony with nature. Landscapes are wondrous, colourful, breathtaking, and sometimes even dangerous. However, why do we find nature so beautiful, even breathtaking? Why are we attracted to the fabulous colours and diversity that change as the seasons go by? Doesn't the rush and thrill of witnessing nature's power evoke emotion? Colours evoke feelings. They make us reflect on how we feel. After all, when we say we are sad, do we not say that we feel blue? Colours make us excited. Who doesn't get excited for spring when they see daffodils bloom? It is a physical manifestation of nature's intent to bring increasing warmth and light. Even when nature shows its dangerous side, it can be beautiful. When a volcano erupts, it could destroy homes and kill livestock. Yet the material from the volcanic eruption can not only grow the most beautiful flowers, but also crops to feed the masses. Vines and olive trees, for example, can grow or be enhanced in flavour by residues from volcanoes. We admire nature's power where it creates life and where it can take it away. We see nature's beautiful colours and great power, and it impacts us emotionally. It shows us that by embracing the beauty of the planet, we become more attached to it, in harmony with it. We ourselves are part of it and interdependent with other species. In recent years, we have discovered new forms of life called extremophiles, which are created and live where light cannot reach. They take energy from vents from undersea volcanoes. Life and nature simply find a way. There is beauty even where it cannot be seen. Nature has given us the opportunity to observe life in all its glory. Why is nature beautiful? Because life itself is beautiful, and its value is the value of life itself. Therefore, we must do all in our power to preserve it. We must preserve nature for the sake of its beauty and because we live within a common ecology. We share nature's outcomes. Peter Singer said in his book, Practical Ethics, "Arguments for preservation based on the beauty of wilderness are sometimes treated as if they were of little weight because they are merely aesthetic. That is a mistake. Nature and our planet are not ours. We only preserve them for future generations. Without them, our species cannot survive." How is nature being destroyed? If we love nature so much, then why is the climate changing? It seems obvious that our own greedy and selfish natures are to blame. The way humanity has come to view beauty and our preference for beauty may be a factor of our undoing. There is both attractiveness and purpose in nature's beauty. Nature contains lots of stored potential energy, in fossil fuels for example, which are often used for industrialization. Energy stored in our Earth is accessible, but it is running out. Non-renewable energy sources are increasingly being exploited at greater and greater cost to our planet. It is most clearly evidenced by the destruction of our most beautiful ecologies, such as the Great Barrier Reef. Much of this destruction is driven by population growth and the intensive farming and industrialization processes that follow from that. Nature itself is being threatened. Life is being threatened. Why are temporary progresses and profits being placed ahead of our well-being and that of our children? We view beauty differently now than we did in times past. Charles Darwin believed that animals could appreciate beauty for its own sake, but perhaps as we evolve, we start to desire what Earth provides us with more and more. While humanity's love of beauty has existed since our earliest years, trends of urbanization and globalization are making us as a species more removed from nature than we've ever been before. As our population has grown and become urbanized, our relationship with nature has become distant, controlling, exploitative, and toxic. Furthermore, in the digital age, our desire for beauty is now deluding our evolved senses. From digital images to digital music, the resolution of our senses has been surpassed. We are, for example, being misled by the digital world in favor of unobtainable versions of beauty. Our greed and unquestioned demand for progress has placed pressure on the world around us. Are we forgetting that we are not the only ones living on this planet? Every year, approximately 8 million tons of plastic enter our oceans. Every time we throw plastic into the sea, we forget about the living things that reside there. We forget that animals feel pain just like we do. Whales grieve following the death of a loved one, just like us. Peter Singer explains in his book, Animal Liberation, that we must apply our morality to animals just as we do humans. We must view all life in the same way. He describes how we must strive to make life a happy one for everyone, together as a species, and that animals deserve to benefit from this too. He makes it very clear in this book that animals' lives are just as important as our own. Singer makes this very simple. All the arguments to prove man's superiority cannot shatter this hard fact. In suffering, the animals are our equals. Are we turning our back on the world that created us, the natural order that we once worshipped? We are losing a sense of true beauty, nature's living beauty, and becoming critical about what aspects of nature are less aesthetically pleasing, in an unnatural way. That's what we have come to in our modern world. We choose the aesthetically pleasing choice rather than accepting the natural course of things. Are we increasingly seeing nature and life through an aesthetic lens? Perhaps we do not consider the repercussions of our actions because they affect the parts of the world which are poorer, where we may care less about other people's lives and the environment because we don't live there. That is where humanity and nature as a force differ. We choose the most comfortable route that benefits our selfish natures now, whereas nature evolves to help the species for the future. Man's divergence from nature and its evolutionary self-regulation is a platform for increased competition. Competition for resources such as energy and territory, and in the future, due to climate change, critical resources like water. Ultimately, this will lead to conflict and further devastation. In the nuclear age, the scale of potential devastation is limitless. This is why we are destroying our Earth. Is mankind at near destruction point? Have we evolved to a point that we are no longer in harmony with nature? Our world has become busier. It is changing at a faster pace than evolution can adapt. Globalization has also made the world hugely unequal. Is our modern God no longer nature, but money? Money, rather than gravity, a force of nature, makes the world go round. Humanity's quality of life in terms of comfort has never been better. Humans have always sought to improve themselves. We think we know what is right and what is wrong, yet has time begun to cloud our judgment? We know what we like and what we don't like, but our pursuit for what we love has grown into obsession. Two things that humanity loves are beauty and money. Humanity desires riches through exploitation, but why is greed rising in our world? Aristotle's theory of the golden mean explains to us that when you find the balance between two extremes, you will be righteous. However, it is apparent from observing the world that no one seems to have found the golden mean. Beauty is pleasing to the aesthetic senses, so money is needed in our modern world to acquire it. We will spend money on a beautiful rose garden, an exotic pet, even a more beautiful face because they are appealing. They look good, because we desire them and not because we need them. Is it not a terrible irony that you make money by deforesting the Amazon, only to spend money on Amazon.com? Perhaps those who seek money by destroying wildlife continue to do so because they view nature as meaningless. Maybe they think this because nature does not benefit them materialistically and immediately in any way. Maybe they question, if no one sees nature, does that make it useless, meaningless? If nature is not being observed, does that mean it is only valuable during observation? Many people admire nature like a piece of artwork in a museum. A visit to a forest is like an inexpensive day out. It is nice that particular day, but could easily be forgettable, especially when our human lives are becoming so much busier and there are so many other things to be considering. A trip to the forest isn't paying the mortgage or saving the poor in the third world. Nature is not supposed to be kept ensnared like art on a wall. It is meant to be unleashed. It has both form and function in its native place. We may forget about the forest we visited one day. However, its objective importance cannot be forgotten. The biodiversity of the forest is essential. You may be worried about paying for your house, yet for many species, it is that very forest that is their home. Whether it has a role in the continuation of an unknown species, or it is just pretty to look at, all purposes of nature are of value. Is nature not living art? To appreciate nature aesthetically, one must view it as such in its native place. Nature really is a Gesamtkunstwerk, or total work of art. Nature's role, by definition, is the course of things. We cannot truly appreciate such mystical art if we do not value its purpose. In 1738, the 3rd Earl of Shaftesbury once commented, "If you are looking at a beautiful valley primarily as a valuable real estate opportunity, then you are not seeing it for its own sake and cannot fully experience its beauty. If we truly love the beauty of nature, should we not leave it be? We have no right to attempt to control or disrupt nature. It is not ours. Not if we all agree that it is beautiful. We forget that nature itself gave us the privilege to become the most highly evolved animals. Nature gave us the job of being its protectors, and because of our own greed and short-sightedness, we are betraying it. Just as Aristotle once said, nature creates nothing uselessly. Einstein also said that God does not play dice. While natural selection may appear random, life is not. We must view all of life's creation as individually valuable and seek to preserve diversity. Our greed and selfishness in destroying and imprisoning nature is ruining the world and robbing our descendants of an ecologically diverse future. We are jeopardizing our ancient and sacred existence in pursuit of short-term advantage. The time has come for us to ask ourselves, are we to keep nature in harmony and be protectors of humanity's future? Are we to be the civilization who went beyond the golden mean only to find chaos? The choice is ours for right now. Like life itself, our attitude to nature has become one of great paradox. Beauty is created by nature in accordance with its laws. Finding the golden mean or middle way could even be considered an act of beauty in harmony with nature. Finding beauty is achieving the ability to be satisfied with what we have and how to view everything with value, and see diversity as necessary, and without jumping to conclusions or making hasty judgments. Nature is paradoxical and diverse. It is simple yet complex. The stunning detail that nature evolves into is awe-inspiring. However, Goethe was still correct when he said, "The ideal of beauty is in simplicity and tranquility." We don't need to destroy nature to temporarily make money or to be happy. We have evolved great intelligence to find more substantial possibilities. If we forget that all nature is beautiful, we lose our aesthetic selves. Every bee, worm, frog, tree and flower are beautiful because nature evolved it for a purpose, one of gene replication and survival. It will continue to do so for future purposes that we just haven't seen yet and may never see. As Goethe also once said, beauty is a primeval phenomenon which itself never makes its appearance, but the reflection of which is visible in 1,000 different utterances of the creative mind, as is as various as nature herself. Just like us, all of nature is here for a purpose. We were destined, through evolution, to protect nature, after falling in love with its inner beauty. Perhaps we should think back on our ancient past. Perhaps it's time we begin to worship nature's beauty once again. It is time for man to once again reconnect with nature. The clock of climate change is ticking down, so perhaps if we do this, it may stop. After all, St. Thomas Aquinas said, "Grace does not destroy nature, it perfects it."